So winter is almost over, which means that it is time to show you this year's production of M42. The only problem is Orion has gotten away from me this year. Between the clouds, the house, everything else, I have not been able to point my scope at this target. Luckily though, I have last year's data, and boy, look at the difference between processing between the 2 years. So let's have some fun with it and process this again together today. My name is Chad. This is the Easy Astro Images channel. We are going to process some photons today. Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Super glad to have you all here with me. Now, this has been pretty amazing and a pretty enlightening process here. Shout out to my buddy James over at the DSO Imager channel that showed his beautiful process of M42 and just kind of got me thinking, hey, I think I might have some old M42 data. And lucky for me, I did. I had all of my data still from last year. This was all taken with the Hyperstar 6-inch, the newest version of that, 533 camera, 120-second exposures, and we've got about an hour and a half of them. So pretty good stuff to work with. Now, the most interesting thing to look at is if you take a look at the actual images here. So this is the original final image that I was so proud of here last year on the left. This is one that I've been able to produce here on the right. But the first thing I want to show you right off the bat is the differences in the weighted batch pre-processing and just how your actual light frame comes out. The differences in that this year versus, a year ago with Pixinsight. So we can do an auto stretch on this one. So this is the most current one with stacking with the latest version of weighted batch pre-processing. And then if we go ahead and open up the one that we were working off of last year, you're going to see a pretty significant difference in what exactly Pixinsight did to the picture. So let's go ahead and stretch that and take a look at these two images here. And you can definitely see that just through the processing and stuff alone, the image here on the right obviously has a different color calibration kind of done to it in the background. The normalization and stuff, of course, has changed a lot. We've got auto crop, things that have obviously affected the image. The color difference between the two is pretty staggering and it's pretty cool to just see like how the software has changed and how it's actually will stack and integrate your images and all that. But let's go ahead and get to processing our newest version of the Orion Nebula. So we'll go ahead and jump right back into Pixinsight here. And again, this is what we were dealing with on the Hyperstar. And the first thing about it, of course, is we've got these crazy Hyperstar stars because of the cabling and everything like that. A lot of them are just super bright. We got a pretty bright core and everything else going on here. So let's go ahead and get this started. The first thing that we're probably going to need to do is an actual dynamic background extraction, and we'll pull that up and pretty much just going to clear that out. So I think something like that will look pretty good. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag this down here and just save this as an instance so we can take a look at that here in a little bit. And I want to see the actual background model. So we'll go ahead and execute this. And then let's go ahead and look at what we actually got rid of. So there is what we're getting rid of. And if we go ahead and cancel this and apply a new stretch, there you go. We are all maximized and all that kind of stuff with our dynamic background extraction, and it's pulled out some more details, evened things up quite a bit. So the next thing we're going to do is just a simple color calibration, and we're going to be using the spectrophotometric color calibration because Well, why not? So we're using a Sony sensor, and I've always just used the basic UV IR cuts and stuff. Seems to work pretty good for me. And then we're going to need to draw a little preview down here for our region of interest. So we'll go ahead and just pop that in as well. And we're going to select that right here and go ahead and hit run on this. And this is going to give us our first color calibration that we want. So not too bad of a job. We got some scatter going on these graphs and stuff, but that's all right. I will take it. That is going to look good, and we'll delete this preview here. So this is where we're at right now. So I think the next thing that we're going to do is we'll go ahead, according to all of the people out there and stuff, is we'll go ahead and hit this with some Blur Exterminator. And I'm going to go ahead and we'll reduce the star halos just a little bit because these are Hyperstar stars. And we're going to raise that up a little bit here to like 0.3, and we're going to do a correct first. And then what I want to do is just draw a preview box in here just to make sure that things are going well. So we'll run it on the preview here real quick. That looks pretty good. If we go back and forth between that, you can see we're getting star reduction, and everybody does this on YouTube. It's like super hard to see what's going on with the actual image, but we'll just leave it at that. So we're going to go ahead and just drag and drop Blur Exterminator now and let that go ahead and run. And that's going to just sharpen everything up and bring everything back to a nice image. I mean, that looks just fantastic already. So the next thing we need to do is go ahead and stretch this puppy out. Now, I would like to try to keep things simple for everybody. You know, that's what we do on the channel here. Never looking for any APODs. So what I want to do is just try a couple different things. So we're going to make a clone of this baby real quick. And first thing I want to try is Bill Blanchin's linked RGB stretch here and just kind of see what results that gives us. So that's a pretty good stretch. Look at the core here, see how that looks. That doesn't look too bad. Let's go ahead and bring up this other image here, and let's try the easy soft stretch and see how that works on this. So we'll turn that off, go to the easy processing suite. If you guys don't have this, there's plenty of videos out there to teach you how to do that. I've even done that myself a few times in the videos. So looks like the easy soft stretch is giving us a lot more to work with and doesn't seem to be blowing out stuff as much on the inside there. So I think we're going to go ahead and work on that image right there. So we'll get rid of this one. And this is going to be our main image to work with here. So we are already stretched now, and everything is looking real good to start off with. So I think the next thing we need to do is we can probably go ahead and pull the stars out of the image and then just start working on everything else. I think that'll probably be the best course. So we're going to pull up Star Exterminator here, and we're going to unscreen them and generate a star image. And that will take just a few seconds to run because of the CUDA acceleration. And we are done already. So there are our stars. And there is that. We'll go ahead and rename this to stars. So that way we know what we're dealing with later. And put that down here. So here is our Orion Nebula and all of this awesome nebulosity on the outside. So the first thing we should do is let's work on the curves a little bit, and let's just try to tone down things a little bit here on both sides of the histogram. So we'll just kind of bring that down a little bit and then raise everything up a little bit. And you can see it's kind of really brightening stuff up, but it's also bringing up our core a lot as well, where, you know, you can see we could start dropping it all the way down there and it's not going to blow that out as much, but I think we'll be okay. So let's just go ahead and apply that a little bit. And then let's just add a little bit of saturation just so we can kind of get a little bit more of an idea of what we're looking at. And then we're going to have to go in and start doing some fun stuff. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to try some HDR MT. And we're going to try to bring back some of this detail that's in here and everything. And what we're going to do, we don't want to apply it to the entire image. So we're going to use what is called the game script. And I love the game script because you can just make any size of mask that you want. So the first thing we're going to do is just try to work on this area, and we're just going to kind of drag this and make this a little bit bigger just to cover up our core right there. So that looks good. And we'll go ahead and click OK. And now it's going to make our mask for us. And now we're going to take this drag and drop mask blur from, I think I got these from Luca Matico's channel, and I'm not sure who actually made the color masks. It might have been Bill that made the color masks as well. You can also use the process convolution as well, and you can get away by doing that. So we're going to add the mask there. So the red is protecting, and we'll go ahead and hide the mask so that way we can see what we're doing. HDR multi-scale transform. That is what we were looking at. Man, I don't know why I could not figure out what that was. And what we're doing is we got the mask that is protecting everything out here and not the core. So what we're going to try to do here is just run this through a little bit, and we're going to change this more to a large type of we're going to try to do a more of a larger type of scales here, and we're just going to try at a 6 and see what happens here. Try to bring that core back. All right, you can definitely see a huge difference there. So let's try increasing the number of layers here and see what happens. I'm afraid that there's just like one spot that I'm just not going to be able to recover. And it's kind of like right here. You can see that it just seems like it's just so overexposed that we're never going to be able to recover that at all. But we can try and push this and see what happens. So I've been playing back and forth with this for a few minutes, and I think we're going to settle on a number of 8 here. And you can see that, like, what's great about it is it resolves all of this detail in here. So there's still plenty of detail, and when we use things like Star Exterminator and Noise Exterminator, it's going to sharpen that stuff up even more. Now there still is just kind of like a blown out spot there in the trapezium that I just can't get rid of. And maybe that's just because of the fact of, you know, what happened with the actual, just the Hyperstar exposures just being a little too much or something like that. But we're going to go ahead and keep that because, you know, I still want, you know, the core of M42 is super bright. So I still want it to be, you know, super bright. I don't want to like get rid of that at all. So I think the best thing to do now is to go ahead and I want to try to bring more dust and everything out in this image. So let's go back into curves transformation, and we're going to put this back to RGB and bring up the real-time preview. And I'm going to start just lifting on the highlights here, just a little bit at a time, pulling out some of that dust, and then we'll just grab a little bit and pull it right back down just a touch. So we're looking at the color here. Color balances doesn't look too bad on this. It might be getting a little purple. So we'll have to maybe come back and take a look at that. The actual running man over here looks like he might be getting a little, fussed up himself. So we could, if we wanted to, we could always go back in over there and we could do the game script again on him, or we could have actually paired both of the masks together and ran them that way. And that would have helped everybody out too. So, but we're good. So I think what we'll do now is just go ahead and run Noise Exterminator, and I'll turn Noise Exterminator down just a little bit here, and I want to turn the detail up just a touch. So I want this to look natural and not overbaked and stuff like my previous versions were. So, I mean, kind of is what it is. Doesn't look too bad. Pretty happy with the way that all looks inside there. I think the running man probably could be dialed back just a little bit more, but we'll be okay. So what the next thing is I want to do is I want to actually run another dynamic background extraction. And so I'm going to just go through and pop in some points in these super dark areas and try to take away anything that is out there and hiding stuff from us, because I think there's still some more dust that we can pull out, and we can lower the levels probably a little bit even more. And what I want to do this time is I want to normalize. So let's actually take a look and see what this does to our image here. So you can see we kind of pulled out like a little bit of a purple haze there. And that is it right there. That's the way everything is looking. Not too bad if I say so myself. Now, some people like these kind of colors and some people don't. I want to wait until I put the stars back in before I do anything else. But a lot of people, if you want to go for something that's a little bit, I guess, more correct and natural, you could always try the correct magenta stars script, and you can see, you're getting like this totally off the wall browns and blues and all that kind of stuff. I'm really not into that look. I like this pinky purplish Orion look personally. So let's just start putting this image back together here. So here are our stars. And we know on our stars that we're definitely going to want to increase the saturation of them. So we're just going to do a couple bumps of saturation on our stars, and that will be good. And then the other thing that we want to do is we just want to pull out a touch of the green out of the stars. So get that like that, and then we'll see how these look when we get them back in to the picture. So we've got all these crazy coloring looking stars from our amazing Hyperstar. And so let's just put these, we already got a star list. Of course we do. So we're going to put our stars back together, which is this pixel math expression that is in the Star Exterminator instructions. And that is our image right there. Now I know one thing I want to do is change the geometry to, something that doesn't look as much like a Hyperstar type of image, because Hyperstar kind of flips things around and all that kind of stuff. So we'll do a horizontal and a vertical mirror, and that's kind of something more that everybody is more used to looking at and seeing. But hey, that's it right there. I mean, we could just keep on going and going. I mean, probably the next thing I would do is, to finish this off, is I would actually just go ahead and do a little bit more of the star reduction. So we'll do a clone for Starless there, and then we will use Bill's star reduction stuff here. So the first thing we need to do is run Star Exterminator on the image. And now we can basically just drag and drop, and I like using his version 3, which seems to preserve more star color. And you can just pretty much drag and drop this as much as you want and make those stars as small as you want. You know, I honestly don't mind the big Hyperstar stars and the diffraction spikes and all that kind of stuff. You know, I think it looks pretty cool. So I think the last thing I'd like to do with this image is I'm going to take a look at the histogram of this thing and see exactly how it is all lined up. So it does look like it's a little blue heavy. And so if we want to, we could actually just kind of push the blues back a little bit and line things up a little bit more. And there you go. A quick few minute process of the Orion Nebula. We did a pretty good job at recovering a lot of the data in here, you know, as good as we could do, but we've got way more stuff that's in here than there was before. I mean, you know, compared to last year's image, it's just night and day what we're able to do this year. You know, some things are, you know, you can just spend all day with these things. That's the great part about it. It's your image. Do what you want to do. This is just demonstrating how much more data really there was for me to pull out and play with than I knew how to get last year. And thanks to the development of Pixinsight and everything else, I kind of wish I still had my Hyperstar or even my old Rasa. I probably could have saved even my craziest Rasa images with this software now. So thanks a bunch. Love you all, and peace.